AITA for exposing my ex after finding the key and USB drive she told me to throw away. I'm Jack, 32, and the weirdest thing about looking back on my marriage is that I don't think it ended when Marissa cheated. I think it ended when I realized she had rehearsed how to make me look like the villain before I even knew there was a fight. That's the embarrassing part. I was still doing little husband things while she was building a case file. I still folded her hoodies the way she liked, sleeves tucked in because she hated when they got wrinkled. I still bought the coffee creamer she preferred, even though I drank mine black. I still moved my shoes away from the back door because she used to trip over them and make this annoyed little noise that somehow made me laugh. For months, I told myself we were in a rough stretch. Every marriage had those, right? Quiet dinners. Short answers. The person across the table scrolling on their phone like whatever was on the screen mattered more than the human being sitting 3 feet away. Marissa was 36, and she had always been good at being liked. Not fake. Exactly, at least not in the way people usually mean it. She remembered birthdays. She sent thank you cards. At family dinners, she hugged people first and asked questions that made them feel remembered. She could make my aunt feel seen by noticing a haircut. She could calm down a tense room by putting a hand over her heart and saying, "Okay, let's all breathe for a second." People trusted her because she sounded soft when she corrected them. I used to admire that. Later, I understood it as a skill. The first changes were small enough that I felt stupid for noticing them. Her phone started landing face down on every surface. She changed her passcode, which was fine, except she acted offended when I noticed. She took calls in the laundry room with the dryer running. She came home late and said she had been with Jenna, then later said it was a work thing, then acted like I was interrogating her when I asked which one it was. "You're doing that thing again," she said one night, standing by the sink with her wine glass untouched. What thing? Turning normal life into evidence. I remember that sentence because of how neatly it fit what she was already doing to me. At the time, I just felt guilty. Grant's name started coming up more often. Grant said this. Grant thought that. Grant understood how much pressure she was under. Grant knew how to listen without making her feel judged. At first, he was just her boss. Then he became her translator, apparently the only man on earth who understood stress, deadlines, boundaries, emotional labor, and whatever else Marissa said I was failing at that week. One night, I made dinner because I thought maybe doing something ordinary would help. Chicken, rice, steamed broccoli. Nothing romantic. Just food on plates and no phones on the table. She walked in, saw the candles I had lit, and sighed like I had set a trap. "I can't do this tonight," she said. "Do what?" "Eat. Be managed." I stared at her. "I made dinner. You made pressure." She said things like that a lot near the end. Sentences that sounded like they came from a podcast she only half believed but knew how to use. If I asked where she had been, I was controlling. If I said she seemed distant, I was making her responsible for my emotions. If I suggested counseling, she said I wanted a third party to gang up on her. "I'm trying to fix this," I told her. "No, Jack," she said, calm as a doctor giving bad news. "You're trying to make me admit your version is right." I should have seen it then, but I was still thinking like a husband. I thought if I got calmer, she would get honest. I had that backward. The first real proof came from her phone, not because I went through it, but because it lit up beside me on the couch while she was in the shower. "Grant, still thinking about your mouth." I didn't move at first. I just sat there staring at the words until the screen went dark. My body reacted before my brain caught up. My hands went cold. My chest felt too tight. When Marissa came back in with a towel around her hair, I was still sitting in the same position. "What's wrong with you?" she asked. "Grant texted you." Her eyes flicked to the phone, then back to me. It was fast, but not fast enough. "What did you do?" she asked. I didn't do anything. It lit up. She picked it up and slid it into her robe pocket. "You read my messages?" He said he was thinking about your mouth. She looked at me for 2 seconds too long, then laughed once. Not because anything was funny. It was because she needed a beat. "Wow," she said. "So now we're twisting jokes?" "That's a joke. You wouldn't understand our dynamic." "Our dynamic?" I said. "There are phrases that sound ridiculous until you hear them from someone who knows exactly what they're doing." She left the room, and I followed her because I was hurt and stupid enough to think the truth would come out if I just kept asking. "Tell me the truth," I said. "I am. Are you sleeping with him?" She turned around in the hallway. This is exactly why I don't feel safe talking to you. That hit me like a slap. Don't do that. Do what? Use the word safe because I caught you lying. She folded her arms. You're proving my point right now. I didn't sleep that night. She did, or pretended to. I sat at the kitchen table with my phone in my hand, scrolling through nothing, replaying the message in my head over and over. Around 2 a.m., a notification from our doorbell camera popped up because the battery was low. I opened the app out of habit. That was when I saw the saved clip from 3 nights earlier. Marissa had told me she was with Jenna. She came home at 11:42 p.m. in Grant's car. The camera caught the headlights, the passenger door, Marissa stepping out, and Grant getting out after her. She leaned back into the open door and kissed him. It was not a friendly kiss. It was not a misunderstanding. It was the kind of kiss that explained every locked phone, every late night, every sentence that made me feel crazy for noticing reality. But the thing that broke me wasn't even the kiss. It was the timestamp. 11:42 p.m. The same night she had texted me. Almost done with Jenna. Don't wait up. The next morning, I confronted her in the kitchen. I had the video pulled up on my phone, my hands shaking so badly I could barely hold it straight. Tell me again that I'm twisting jokes, I said. She watched the clip. Her face changed, but not in the way I expected. She did not cry. She did not apologize. She went very still. You're monitoring the doorbell camera now? It's our doorbell camera. You saved footage of me? Are you serious? She put a hand to her forehead. This is so unhealthy. No, Marissa. Sleeping with your boss and lying to me is unhealthy. Lower your voice. I'm not yelling. You are escalating. That word did something to me. Escalating. Like we were in a training video and she was narrating my behavior for an invisible audience. I slapped my palm on the kitchen table. Not hard enough to break anything, but hard enough to make the salt shaker jump. Stop talking like I'm the problem here, I said. And that was the moment she had been waiting for. Her eyes snapped to my hand on the table, then to my face. Then she took one careful step back. See, she whispered. This is what I'm talking about. I remember going cold. Not calmer. Cold. Because the second I reacted, I saw her stop being cornered and start taking notes. She left that morning with a small overnight bag and no explanation. I sent one text later, the one I will regret until I'm dead, not because it was untrue, but because it was exactly what she wanted. You don't get to destroy me and then act afraid because I'm angry. That was all I sent. One sentence. By lunch, it was a screenshot. By dinner, it was missing the affair, the lies, the doorbell video, the kitchen conversation, and every sentence that came before it. Marissa cried first. That's the part people underestimate. In a social circle, the first person to cry owns the narrative unless someone is smart enough to wait for facts. Most people are not. Most people want a clean story because clean stories are easier to stand near. She posted on Facebook that afternoon. She didn't name me. She didn't have to. Sometimes the person everyone thinks is kind at dinner is the person you're afraid to go home with. Please don't ask questions. I'm safe tonight. That's what matters. People reacted with hearts. Women I had eaten Thanksgiving dinner beside wrote things like, "So proud of you for choosing peace." One of her cousins commented, "We knew something was off." My phone started buzzing before I even understood what she had done. Then came the family group chat. Marissa wrote a long message about emotional volatility, jealousy, and needing space. She said she had tried for months to make the marriage work, but my anger had become unpredictable. She said she didn't want to share details out of respect for me, which was a very effective way to make everyone imagine details worse than anything she could prove. Then she attached my text. You don't get to destroy me and then act afraid because I'm angry. My aunt wrote, Jack, please just give her space. One of Marissa's brothers wrote, this is between you two, but you're scaring people. My cousin wrote, we're worried about you. Then my own mother, who should have called me first, wrote, maybe it's best if you stay somewhere else tonight. I stared at that message until the words blurred. I typed back 3 different versions of the truth. She cheated with Grant. She's lying. I have video. Each one looked more desperate than the last. I deleted them. Then I typed a long message, the kind of thing a hurt man writes when he thinks a wall of explanation can save him. Before I could send it, Ben called. Ben was my closest friend, and he knew me well enough to hear disaster in my breathing. Tell me you didn't reply, he said. I'm about to. No, you are absolutely not. She's making me sound dangerous. I know. She cheated. I have proof. Then don't bury the proof under a meltdown. I'm not having a meltdown. Jack, you are holding gasoline and standing next to the fire she built. I put my forehead against the fridge. Ben lowered his voice. Listen to me. Do not audition for the role she wrote for you. Screenshot everything. Reply to almost nothing. You can be furious tomorrow. Tonight, be quiet and smart. It was the first good advice I had gotten in days. I didn't send the message. That didn't stop the damage. Grant started appearing in the background of the story without admitting he belonged in the center of it. He told mutual friends that Marissa had been under a lot of stress. He said I had been showing up emotionally intense. He told one person he was worried I might spiral. The way people repeated his words made me sick. Grant didn't defend his affair. He erased it by acting like a witness. 2 days later, Marissa drained part of the joint account. I found out in the grocery store, standing under fluorescent lights with a basket full of things I didn't even want. My card declined. I checked the banking app and saw withdrawals labeled as transfers and cashier's checks. Not everything was gone, but enough was missing to make my knees feel weak. When I called Marissa, she let it ring twice, then sent me to voicemail. So I texted, "Where is the money?" She replied almost immediately. I had to protect myself. From what? From you making things harder than they need to be. You mean from me having money for a lawyer? There was no reply for 10 minutes. Then she wrote, "This is exactly why communication with you feels unsafe." A legal envelope arrived the next morning. The language inside was colder than the marriage had ever been. A divorce petition, temporary exclusive use of the house, requests about the mortgage, financial disclosures, suggested restrictions about contact, phrased carefully enough to imply I was unstable without saying anything that could be challenged too easily. I sat at the table reading page after page while the coffee went cold beside me. She had not left in a panic. She had left with a plan. I called Ben again. He didn't tell me to calm down. He told me to get organized. That was how I found Elaine. Elaine was 52, sharp-eyed, and calm in a way that made panic feel childish. Her office was not dramatic. No giant shelves of law books, no movie lighting, no big speeches. Just a clean desk, a printer humming somewhere, and a box of tissues she never pushed toward me. I brought screenshots, the doorbell clip, the bank statements I had downloaded, the divorce papers, and my shame. She read in silence. Every once in a while, she put something into a separate pile. When she got to my angry text, she looked up. "This is not great," she said. "I know. Did you threaten her anywhere?" "No." "Did you touch her?" "No." "Did you break anything?" "No." "Did you send more after this?" "No." "Good. Keep it that way." I swallowed. Everyone believes her. Elaine tapped the stack of papers. Everyone is not the court. She's telling people I'm unsafe. Then stop giving her fresh material. I want to post the video. No. She's ruining my name. Elaine leaned back. You don't have a revenge problem. You have an evidence problem. Fix that first. That annoyed me until I understood it. She made me start a timeline. Not a rant. Not a statement. A timeline. Dates. Times. Messages. Bank transfers. Doorbell footage. Phone logs. Emails. Who said what, when, and where it could be proven. The truth is useful only when it is organized, she said. Emotion explains why you're angry. Evidence explains why the court should care. So I stopped trying to be believed and started making it impossible for anyone to ignore me. Every night, I sat at the table with my laptop, a cheap printer, and folders from an office supply store. I printed screenshots and put them in clear plastic sleeves. I downloaded bank statements. I exported texts. I saved voicemails. I wrote down every call I did not answer from Marissa because Elaine told me not to speak to her without a record. Marissa hated that part. She called. I let it go to voicemail. She texted, "We need to talk like adults." I replied, "Email works." She wrote, "You're being cold to punish me." I replied, "Email works." She wrote, "You're proving you only care about control." I did not reply. That was the first time I felt any control at all. Once the timeline started taking shape, contradictions showed up like stains under a bright light. Marissa's sudden fear of me began after she had already started moving money. Her emails about trying to fix the marriage were sent on days when phone records showed late-night calls with Grant. The night she claimed I cornered her in the kitchen was the morning after Grant's message and 3 days after the doorbell footage. But it still wasn't enough. Not cleanly. Not legally. It was enough to know she was lying, but it wasn't enough to prove the larger plan. Then Marissa sent the text that changed everything. Storage unit has your old boxes. Take whatever sad little keepsakes you need by Saturday. I'm done storing your past. I almost ignored it. I was exhausted. I didn't want to dig through holiday decorations and old sports equipment while my life was being sliced into legal language. Ben said, "Go get your stuff. It's junk. Then throw it out yourself. Don't let her decide what disappears." So I went. The storage unit smelled like cardboard, dust, and old plastic. There were bins with faded labels. Christmas. Kitchen. Jack Old. Raymond. That last one stopped me. Uncle Raymond had died the year before. He was my mother's older brother, and the family always treated him like a difficult man because he didn't smile when people expected him to. He noticed things. He remembered dates. He asked questions people found uncomfortable. Marissa hated him. Not loudly. Marissa never hated people loudly. She called him intense and a little off. She avoided sitting next to him at dinners. When he once told me, "That woman smiles too calmly when she lies," I got angry at him. "She's my wife," I had said. Raymond only shrugged. "Then I hope I'm wrong." I had not thought about that conversation in months. I opened the bin with his name on it. Inside were some fishing lures, a cracked thermos, 2 flannel shirts that still smelled faintly of him, and an old metal tackle box with his initials scratched into the handle. I almost put it back. Then I saw an envelope taped to the underside of the lid. My name was written on it in Raymond's blocky handwriting. Jack. My hands shook when I opened it. Inside was a small bank safe deposit key, a notarized letter, and a folded note. I sat down on an upside-down plastic bin and read the note first. Jack, I hope I'm wrong. If I'm not, do not confront her. Bring this to a lawyer before you bring it to the family. She will cry first. Let the dates speak before you do. Raymond. Under that, in smaller writing, he had added, "For when Marissa cries first." I don't know how long I sat there staring at the paper. Grief is strange. I had missed Raymond before, but in that storage unit, I missed him like he had just died all over again. I had spent years thinking he was suspicious and harsh. Now I was sitting in the dust with his handwriting in my lap, realizing someone had seen the shape of the truth before I had. I called Elaine. She didn't get excited. Elaine never got excited. "Do not open anything else," she said. "Bring it to me." The safe deposit box required more formality than I expected. ID, signatures, an appointment, and a bank employee with a polite voice who acted like people didn't come in every day carrying pieces of their lives in envelopes. Elaine came with me. We sat in a small private room with a heavy little box on the table between us. Inside were records. Not a magic solution. Not a pile of cash. Not some movie twist where Raymond solved my divorce from beyond the grave. Records. Copies of bank statements. Printed screenshots from old messages Marissa had apparently sent Raymond during an argument months earlier. Notes in Raymond's handwriting with dates and question marks. A list of accounts he thought Elaine should look into. Printed photos from Raymond's porch camera. And a USB drive in a plastic sleeve. Elaine read the notarized letter first. Her face didn't change much, but she got very quiet. That was how I knew it mattered. "What does it say?" I asked. "It says your uncle believed your wife and Grant were involved months before you knew," she said. "It says he was asked to review some financial paperwork after an argument and noticed transfers that didn't make sense. It says he preserved what he had access to and dated the letter because he was concerned you would be isolated before you understood why." I pressed my palms together under the table so she wouldn't see them shake. Then we opened the USB on Elaine's office computer. There was security footage from Raymond's porch. Marissa and Grant standing too close together in front of Raymond's house, months earlier than the version Marissa had implied to people. The clip had audio from the porch camera, not great, but clear enough. Grant said, "You need to stop letting him make you feel guilty." Marissa replied, "Jack won't fight it. He gets embarrassed too easily." Then she laughed. I hated that laugh more than the kiss. There was another file, a voicemail. Elaine played it once, then played it again while taking notes. Apparently, Raymond had confronted Marissa after seeing something. She must have called him back intending to leave one message, then thought she had hung up because after the first part came a muffled conversation with Grant. Marissa's voice said, "He thinks he's protecting Jack. It's almost sweet." Grant said something I couldn't catch. Then Marissa said, clearer, "By the time Jack tells the truth, I'll already own the story." The room seemed to shrink around me. Elaine paused the recording. I stood up and walked to the window because I thought I might throw up. "Jack," Elaine said, "I want to send it to everyone." "No." She said she'd own the story. "And she will if you mishandle this." I turned around. "You heard it." I did. "And now we preserve it properly, transcribe it, authenticate what we can, and use it to get the rest. I'm so tired of being careful." "I know. Be careful anyway." That was Elaine's gift. She didn't feed my rage. She gave it somewhere to stand. Over the next few weeks, things moved slowly in the way legal things do. No dramatic courtroom ambush. No instant victory. Just preservation letters, formal requests, financial disclosures, and Elaine asking questions Marissa and Grant clearly didn't expect anyone to ask. The bank records showed more transfers than I had seen at first. Money moved in small pieces, then larger pieces, labeled vaguely enough to look boring unless someone cared about the dates. A cashier's check. A transfer to an account I had never seen. Payments connected to legal consultations that started long before Marissa claimed she was simply scared and reacting. Phone records showed late-night calls between Marissa and Grant for months. Discovery produced emails and message fragments that changed the entire temperature of the case. Marissa had a folder called Jack Incidents. That name still makes my skin crawl. Inside were screenshots of my worst moments, but only cropped pieces. My angry text with nothing before it. A message where I wrote, "Are you seriously not coming home again?" with the part removed where she had told me she was 10 minutes away 3 hours earlier. A photo of the salt shaker knocked over on the kitchen table after I slapped my palm down, with no context about the doorbell video or Grant's message. She had been collecting reactions like souvenirs. Then there was Grant. Grant had helped her write language for a possible HR complaint in case I contacted her workplace. He suggested phrases like increasingly unstable and concerned for emotional safety. In one message, he wrote, "As long as he looks unstable, no one will look at us." I read that line 4 times. As long as he looks unstable, no one will look at us. Elaine printed it and slid it into a folder. "Do not react to this outside my office," she said. "I'm not going to. You look like you want to. I want to do a lot of things. Then do the useful one. Sit still." So I sat still. Marissa, meanwhile, kept pushing the public story because she thought silence meant weakness. She told people I was dragging out the divorce to punish her. She said I was weaponizing legal systems, which was a strange thing to say for someone who had filed first with aggressive terms. She told my mother I was becoming obsessed with proving a point. My mother called me crying. "Jack, honey, I just want this to stop." "So do I. Marissa says you keep trying to destroy her." I'm responding through my lawyer. "She says you're collecting things." "Yes." "That sounds I don't know." "It sounds what?" She went quiet. "It sounds like the version she gave you," I said. My mother cried harder, but I didn't rescue her from it. I loved her, but I was done comforting people through the discomfort of doubting me. The family dinner was Marissa's idea. She framed it as a chance to clear the air. Really, it was another stage. She invited both sides of the family and a few mutual friends who had been loudest online. Grant came too, which she called support. The fact that anyone accepted that explanation told me how far the story had already gone. Elaine told me not to go at first. "I don't like uncontrolled rooms," she said. "I don't either." "Then why go?" "Because she's using the uncontrolled room to keep controlling everyone in it." Elaine stared at me for a moment. "You do not yell. You do not debate. You do not answer bait. You provide a record. Then you leave." "I know. Jack. I know." She helped me prepare a PDF and printed folders. Nothing messy. No insults. No dramatic captions. Just dates, documents, screenshots in context, bank transfers, phone records, the doorbell stills, the voicemail transcript, Grant's message, and Raymond's letter. The file name was simple. Before anyone judges me, read the dates. The dinner was at Marissa's sister's house. I remember the smell of garlic bread and the sound of people talking too softly before I walked in. Everyone looked at me like they had already decided where to put their hands if I raised my voice. Marissa sat at the table with red eyes and perfect posture. Grant sat beside her, one hand around a glass of water, looking like a man supervising a difficult meeting. I almost laughed at that. Not because it was funny, because he really believed he belonged there. Marissa started before I even sat down. "I just want peace," she said, her voice trembling. "I don't want to attack anyone. I just need Jack to stop. I need him to stop trying to punish me for leaving." A few people nodded. Grant looked at me with calm disappointment. "Jack, this is not helping your case." I put the folder I was carrying on the table. He kept going. "At some point, you have to be a man and let her move on." That sentence landed in the room like he expected applause. I looked at him, then at Marissa. "I'm not here to win her back," I said. "I'm here to stop paying for a lie." Marissa shook her head, tears already sliding down her cheeks. "You're doing this to humiliate me." "No," I said. "You used humiliation as a weapon. I'm using evidence as a boundary." I placed the printed folders down the center of the table. Then I sent the PDF to the family group chat. Phones buzzed at almost the same time. Mine, my mother's, Marissa's sister's, Ben's, even though he wasn't there. Someone at the end of the table whispered, "What is this?" I said, "You all heard the crying. Now read the dates." Nobody moved for a second. Then my aunt opened the folder. The room changed slowly. That was the satisfying part, and also the saddest part. There was no explosion. No one jumped up and screamed. People just started reading, and the story Marissa had built began losing oxygen. My mother covered her mouth. Marissa's brother frowned at the bank records. One friend scrolled on her phone, then looked up at Marissa, then back down again. Grant tried to speak. "This is inappropriate," he said. "These are private matters." Elaine had told me he would do that. Shift from morality to privacy, the second facts became inconvenient. I said, "The affair was private. The lie wasn't." Marissa started crying harder. "I can't believe you would do this in front of everyone." I looked at her. "You did it in front of everyone first." Her sister looked up from the voicemail transcript. Her face had gone pale. "Marissa," she said quietly, "is any of this fake?" Marissa wiped under her eyes. "This is taken out of context." "That wasn't the question," her sister said. Grant leaned forward. "There are legal implications here. You people should not be reading stolen." "Stolen," I said. He stopped. The mistake was small, but everyone heard it. The folder didn't say the records were stolen. It explained how they were obtained, what came from Raymond, what came from my accounts, what had been produced formally, and what Elaine had preserved. Grant had just revealed that he knew more about the legal posture than a concerned support person should have known. Elaine had warned me not to smile. So I didn't. I just said, "Careful, Grant." His face tightened. Marissa turned on him for half a second with pure panic in her eyes. It was the first honest thing I had seen from her in months. My cousin, who had written that I was scaring people, put his phone down. "Marissa, did you and Grant plan this?" Marissa didn't answer directly. "I felt trapped," she said. "None of you understand what it was like." What was like? I asked. "Being caught?" "Because being caught is not the same as being harmed." She flinched, not because I yelled. I didn't. She flinched because the line landed somewhere she couldn't soften. Grant stood up. "I'm not going to sit here for a character assassination." I looked at the folder in front of him. "You helped write one." He left first. The first person Grant protected was not Marissa. It was Grant. Marissa stayed, but only because leaving after him would have made the affair look exactly as real as it was. She tried to pull the room back. She said she had been scared. She said she had made mistakes. She said she had not known how to make me hear her. No one jumped to comfort her. That was when she understood she had lost the room. Not everyone apologized that night. Some people avoided my eyes. Some got defensive because admitting they had helped carry a lie was harder than believing it. My mother cried and reached for my hand, and I let her hold it, but I did not tell her it was okay. Because it wasn't. After that dinner, the divorce changed tone. Not magically. Elaine warned me about that too. Vindication at a dinner table is not the same as a final order, she said. But the evidence mattered. The hidden transfers were brought back into the marital estate. Marissa had to amend her financial disclosures. Her claims about sudden fear lost credibility when lined up against the dates of her legal consultations, bank movements, and messages with Grant. The aggressive terms got less aggressive. The house issue stopped being framed like she was escaping danger and started being treated like a financial matter with documents attached. Grant's workplace became involved after Elaine sent preservation letters, and the evidence suggested he had helped craft a false workplace narrative while carrying on an affair with an employee under his authority. I don't know every detail of what happened there, and Elaine told me not to chase it. I know he went quiet. I know mutual friends stopped using him as a reliable narrator. I know Marissa stopped saying his name like it was a shield. That was enough. The social fallout was messy. Some friends sent real apologies. I should have called you before assuming. I'm sorry I believed the post. I saw the text and didn't ask what came before it. Those mattered. Other apologies were just people trying to feel clean without doing any work. You have to understand how it looked. We were all just worried. Nobody knew what to think. I learned that not every apology deserves access. Some people stayed blocked. Some relatives got polite distance instead of full forgiveness. I stopped explaining myself to anyone who had enjoyed the drama more than they cared about the truth. Marissa tried one final rewrite after a legal meeting in the parking lot, because of course she waited until no one else could hear. She stood beside her car with her arms folded, looking smaller than she used to but not softer. I didn't know how else to make you hear me, she said. I almost laughed. Again, not because it was funny. You didn't want to be heard, I said. You wanted to be believed without being questioned. Her eyes filled. I felt unsafe. No, I said. You felt exposed. That's not fair. Neither was building a folder of my worst reactions while cutting out what you did to cause them. She looked away. For once, she had no polished sentence ready. I never wanted it to get this ugly, she said. You made ugly useful until it stopped working for you. She shook her head. You're so cold now. No, I said. I'm done having private conversations that become public evidence with half the sentence missing. I walked away before she could cry herself into another version of the story. The divorce was finalized without the dramatic ending people imagine. No judge banging a gavel while everyone gasped. No speech where Marissa confessed everything. Just signatures, revised numbers, documents filed in the correct places, and a life separated piece by piece until it was finally mine again. I didn't get the old house back the way it used to be. I didn't get back the months I spent wondering if I was crazy. I didn't get back the version of my marriage where folding hoodies and buying coffee creamer meant love was still alive. But I kept my name. I kept Raymond's note too. It sits in a plain envelope with the rest of the important papers. Sometimes I take it out and read the first line. I hope I'm wrong. He wasn't. For a while that hurt. Then it became something else. A reminder that one person had seen through the performance before I did. A reminder that I didn't have to win every argument in the moment. A reminder that dates, records, and patience can do what shouting never will. Marissa thought she could leave me broke, embarrassed, and begging for people to believe I wasn't the monster she described. She thought I would panic, overreact, and hand her exactly the proof she needed. She thought I'd end up broke and alone. Instead, I buried the version of me that still wanted her approval. If you liked it, don't forget to leave a comment and support the channel by subscribing. See you in the upcoming stories.